briefly tell me about Pipeline Fund and what your aims are for that project?
Sure. So Pipeline Fund is a social venture fund, and we are committed to investing in women-led triple bottom line for-profit startups. And
Great.
what we mean when we say triple bottom line is that the business models have to have a focus on financial performance, social impact, and environmental responsibility.
Brilliant.
Along with that, we are also launching Pipeline Fund Fellowship. And what we're doing with Pipeline Fund Fellowship is that we're training women to become angel investors.
Wow.
And we're doing this, we have three main components. The first one is education. So obviously we're going to be having workshops on due diligence, valuation, term sheets. We're also going to be doing mentoring. So we're matching the women to experienced angel investors to serve as role models. Because I'm the first one to know that sometimes a story that you hear from someone, and for example, Esther Dyson's top 3 things that she does when she does due diligence, or Brad Fell's best mistake that he ever committed, those are the stories that really resonate when we're about to do something. So,
Yes.
so I believe in mentoring. And the third component is practice. And it's not enough to just learn, it's also important to do. So
Yes.
we're going to be having the angel trainees, the angel investor trainees, applying all that they've learned to select a woman-led social venture to invest in at the end of the program. So anyone who is applying to the Pipeline Fund Fellowship has to commit $5,000 for a collective of $50,000 that will be invested in a social venture startup that is woman-led at the end of the training.
Really impressive, Natalia. And could you just briefly tell me what was the inspiration for you to set this up?
Sure. There were 2 main inspirations, Pemo, and they were 2 opportunities, market needs that I saw. The first one is in January 2008, I had the opportunity to launch New York Women Social Entrepreneurs, which is a network of women social entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. And through that experience, I witnessed how there was a lack of a community that was connecting women entrepreneurs with the larger VC investment community.
Okay.
So that was the first point. Then the second point was through this experience of seeing particularly the social entrepreneurship sector, I realized that there was this funding opportunity, this sweet spot for for-profit social ventures. And the reason that I'm specifying for-profit social ventures was because there are a lot of funding opportunities for nonprofit social ventures in the form of grants, fellowships, etc. So putting those 2 together, I realized, first of all, it would be great to have more women becoming investors.
Yep.
I have my background, Pamo, is I have a master's in organizational psychology. So several of the courses that have really resonated with me are courses on group dynamics, for example.
Yep.
So that is one of the reasons that for me, seeing that, yes, in order to change the culture of the investment community, we need to get more involved in co-ed activities. And not just, let's get more women on board. It's also let's get people to collaborate.
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. Very inspiring. Thank you. Have you ever had to source angel investment yourself?
So we are in the process
Okay.
of Pipeline Fund, and we are planning to seed the fund through VC individuals and
Okay.
possibly foundations as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so what have your personal lessons been as a woman have you taken out of the successes or failures in this venture of sourcing it yourself?
So the experience that I've had has also been in terms of coaching other women entrepreneurs. So obviously right now I'm going out about it first person. I've also had the opportunity to learn through observing, being chapter leader of New York Women Social Entrepreneurs. And the 2 main things that I'll share are that, first of all, women, we need to get more comfortable with risk taking.
Okay.
And the other one is that we need to become comfortable being experts, owning our expertise, our thought leadership. And when we feel more comfortable with risk taking and when we feel more comfortable being thought leaders and knowing that we have an expertise, then the two main things that we hear so much, especially in the blogosphere, then self-promoting becomes easier and pitching becomes easier.
Yes, very good. Fantastic. That's so clear. What attitudes towards you being female have you noted from the angel investment community, again, personally?
So in terms of launching Pipeline Fund and the Pipeline Fund Fellowship, I've had extreme support. It's been very, very supportive, and which has actually been a delight, to see how it is this inflection point that all things are coming together.
Yes.
What's interesting, Pamo, is that we're also coming at it from a different angle, which is social venture.
Yes.
So something else that I'm repositioning in the investment community in general is really repositioning for-profit social ventures as an investment opportunity and as an investment vehicle, and not just as a philanthropic way of doing business. So that's also another attitude that we're working with.
Brilliant, brilliant. What qualities do you think women entrepreneurs need specifically for sourcing angel investment? You've mentioned the risk-taking and also the self-promotion. Is there anything else that you'd advise as qualities that we need?
I think that the other one is just practice, and this goes back to how important it is to just do it. And Allison Capon, she's a Women Who Tech on Twitter. Yep. She wrote an article on Fast Company about why are there so few women who are getting invested in, and also why are there so few women who are pitching. And when I read that article, and I can send you the link, what really struck me was that not only is it, I think her statistic was 9.4% of startups that were funded by angel investors in 2009 were women. It was also that I believe around 21% of entrepreneurs who were pitching were women. So it's not just that, not as many women entrepreneurs are being invested in, is that we also need to get more women entrepreneurs to pitch in the first place.
Yes.
And just even if it's, becoming comfortable with it and then thinking, well, whatever comes out of it is a lesson learned, and viewing it as positive and really feeling much more comfortable with just practicing and doing it.
And do you think there's any reasons that you've perceived of what has stopped the numbers of women pitching?
So there is, and this is, of course, a
bone of contention.
Yeah, and it's a funny story, but it's the typical story of perfectionism.
Yes.
And it's the typical story that a woman entrepreneur gets called to go in for a pitch. She's 80% ready. She calls, she says, wait, actually, can I please reschedule? I still need to dot all the I's. I need to cross all the T's. And then the typical story of the guy entrepreneur getting called, he's like 40%, ready. He still doesn't even have a business plan, doesn't even know what his long-term strategy is. And he's like, yes, I'll be right over. And what I think that really we need to share to particularly women entrepreneurs is that there's just as much value coming from the feedback that one will get, just the process of iteration, that getting that feedback, even if they're only 80% ready, that can really help them hone in, and whether they get it or not this first time will help them to do the second one in a way that even if they were 100% ready, they wouldn't have that jump of learning from even having had that first try.
That's a great image that you've just spoken about, and I guess it brings together both the lack of risk taking and also the confidence piece that women have struggled with. So thank you very much for that. It's really good. In your opinion, what percentage of women would qualify then as regards having these qualities, and could they be developed? And if so, what are your ideas about how this could happen? And obviously, I guess the Pipeline Fund is part of your solution.
Yes. I think that there's not a percentage, just like not enough women, and
Yeah.
we can get more women out. That
Okay.
would be part of the answer.
Okay.
The other two initiatives that I would love to share with you, one of them actually I created called Woman Innovator, which is a media campaign to increase the visibility of women change makers and mainstream their stories.
Right.
And this came out of my frustration from seeing all the lists from all the top media being 40 under 40,
Yes.
25 under 25.
So depressing.
And the issue is no longer that there are no examples. The examples are there.
Yes.
It's just they're not connecting the sources. The people who are doing the stories probably are going to their traditional sources, and
Very
those sources are like, well, Mike, Jeff is doing something really great, and it's very much about helping get these stories out and to the forefront. So that's the first part. And what's interesting about that is that what we do we create a video series, and we ask women, first of all, obviously, to tell us what they're up to, then to define what woman innovator means to them. And then the third question has actually become very transformative individually is, so how are you a woman innovator? And that is a moment, a space and time where we are providing, in a way, the opportunity for women to own their expertise, to
Very good.
own their definition of being the term woman innovator. So that's something that has been really exciting.
Yeah.
The other initiative that I'd love for you to, if you haven't heard of it, actually,
Yes.
it's the Op-Ed Project. And the Op-Ed Project was started by Kathy Ornstein, and her whole take was 80% of op-eds are written by white old men. And what do we need to do to fix that problem?
Right.
We need to teach women how to pitch. And then through her, she usually has workshops, and she realized that, there would be women with, JD, PhD, dual MBAs, MPAs, and it was so much about going back to owning one's expertise, and then realizing that just becoming comfortable answering, like, I'm Natalia and I'm an expert in community building, for example, and then getting more women comfortable with saying, what are you an expert in? That it's not that when you actually are in a position, whether it's, at a cocktail party or at a business meeting,
Yes.
that you can stand up and you can say, this is what I'm good at, and this is how I can add value.
Yes, very good. And that's part of the reason why I've been doing these interviews is really to raise awareness. You said that the people are there, and it is true. It's just so interesting to actually, get more awareness and get people aware, particularly men, aware of the problems or the challenges that we have faced. But that's great. Do you